Okay then, guys, welcome to episode 4 of our SoccerRockz Extra Time podcast. My name's Tom Cudworth. I'm the head coach at SoccerRockz. Also with us is...
I'm Kieran Doherty. I'm the media guy at SoccerRockz.
And Craig, you're our special guest today, mate. So I'll just briefly introduce you. Craig Pead, former professional footballer, personal trainer to the stars. A bit of everything at the minute, mate, I think.
Jesus, I'm not sure about the stars. I'll train you, mate, so.
Well, that's what I mean, the stars.
How are we doing?
No, good. So, Pete, thanks for joining us today. So what we're going to do is just have a bit of a walk through your football career from grassroots into the professional game, really. So a big part of what we chat about on here is your experiences when you were playing sort of junior football, and then we'll kind of take you through it a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a Cov lad. Where did you start your career, or where did you start to enjoy football?
I think I started in like school, just kind of kicking a ball around, and then I think I went to a local grassroots team, not SoccerRockz, Chapelfield Colts. And it just went from there, really. I was playing a year up, played in a really good side, and then playing locally, you get, obviously back then, the scouts were looking to take kids into the School of Excellence. So that's when obviously we met up with you guys, and we were training a couple of times a week for the School of Excellence. And but for me, I didn't kind of follow the same path as like you or Gary or some of the others. There was trials. Remember, we went to, it was like regional trials that took you to, at the time it was called the National School, the FA National School. So it was trials for the whole country at different age groups. I think it was 14s to 16s, and they boiled it down to 16, and then you were sent to Lilleshall for 2 years to do schooling and obviously extra football, and to kind of be like an elite pick of the country for 2 years at the FA National School. So I went through that process and got selected, and ended up moving away from home at 14 and went and lived at Lilleshall, which was a phenomenal experience. It's basically kind of what the academies are based on now. So when the academy started, literally I think a year later, Lilleshall finished, because they were doing the academies all over in the clubs. It was no longer a School of Excellence. It was an academy. So it was great, mate. It was 16 lads going to school, just a normal school every day. But we would kind of, on a Monday, we didn't have 2 lessons. We had 2 lessons less than everyone else because we played football. On a Tuesday, pretty much similar. You knocked off kind of 2 lessons at school to concentrate a little bit more on football. And then we had a little bit more of homeschooling, which was at Lilleshall. And then we had games on like a Sunday, and you were able to go home every 4 weeks for the weekend. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. So I was so lucky to kind of play for 2 years with the pick of the country, which just made you raise your game. And also the coaches were just fantastic. It was the top coaches in the country coaching you every single day, not just obviously football, but obviously personal skills and things like that. So yeah, it was an amazing experience. And from there you go into the academies. Well, we were the first year of the academies, really, wasn't we? So you go into the academy. So chose to come back home and go straight into the Cov Academy. But that was kind of grassroots for me. It was starting out at kind of Chapelfield Colts, school level Chapelfield Colts, and then kind of getting selected for the School of Excellence, and then played at Coventry schools. Was it West Midlands we played as well?
Yeah.
God, back then you're playing every night of the week. It was brilliant.
So at the time you were obviously 15, 16, one of the top players in the country. Did you have the option to go to other clubs? Because Coventry were Premier League at the time. But did you have other options?
Yeah, there was quite a few options. You're kind of looking at the West Ham, there was Liverpool, there was quite a few options. Because there was 16 lads ready to go into the academy, a couple of months before, you get everyone knocking on your door, trying to kind of sway you from where you're going to go.
Yeah.
But to be honest, my heart was always set. I was always coming back to Coventry. No big clubs was going to sway it. We were a big club at the time. We were in the Premiership. Had a great team, good management, and but I just wanted to come back to see my mates, and because I knew, like you, Gary, and everyone was going into the academy at Coventry, so there was no way I was going anywhere else. I was coming back to kind of play with my mates and play for my home club.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're a big Cov fan yourself, aren't you? So it must have been amazing when you had that opportunity going into professional football at your hometown club, having turned down some of the biggest teams in the country.
Yeah, it was. I think because I was like a season ticket holder as well. For years, we used to go up and have a season ticket for years. And I think once you have that experience of going every single week to Highfield Road and supporting your club, the thought of actually stepping out at Highfield Road was just imaginable. You just couldn't imagine it. So it was always, I was always going back to Coventry, always. There was never a doubt in my mind. I didn't even really entertain anything else. It was pointless asking me. So it was just, I was going back to Cov, and that was it.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So talk us onto your debut then. So we obviously, you and I went through the youth team together and had some great times, had some good laughs there. But you were always kind of playing, your talent was phenomenal. You were, I would probably, and I often tell people, probably one of the best players that I ever come across and played alongside. But you progressed into the first team after a few injuries. You always had a few little problems with your knee, didn't you?
Yeah, I remember it was a reserve team game away at Nottingham Forest. I went in for a tackle just before half time, and the player fell awkwardly on me as well. And when I got up, my knee was not locked and I couldn't move it. So I couldn't continue. And then when I went for a scan that night, my cartilage was kind of ripped through my knee. So I couldn't move it. So it was immediate surgery and they had to remove 90% of it. But obviously, very shortly afterwards, we had a Youth Cup final that we were going into. So I was like, I've got to get back for this final. So I probably did 4 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks rehab, and I was playing. And usually, you're not really playing after a cartilage operation for 12 weeks. I think we might have been about 8 weeks. I've done about 9 weeks and we was back playing again. So it was far too soon. I remember running out at the first game at, I think was it West Ham, and my knee was like a balloon. And I was just like, what am I doing? There's no...
Well, I'll tell you one thing it did do. I suppose the positive from that knee injury was you and Gaz spent some time in the gym, didn't you? Getting that beach body ready for the summer.
Well, remember the trainer, Darren Grucott? he was a legend, and he was massive. So to see like someone like that around the training ground, which is pretty much unheard of, it was just like you went and did your physio, and then it was like, right, used to get in the gym with Gruey, and we were his little apprentices for about a year because we were both injured for about a year, and mate, we were unbelievable at chin-ups, dips, bench press. To the end, right, the manager kept saying, I remember Gordon Strachan saying, are you still going to kick a ball again? We were just in the gym with Gruey.
Brilliant. No, obviously that your time at Coventry, you talked me through. You scored 1 goal for Coventry, didn't you?
3, son. Don't take 2 away. I've only ever scored 3 in my whole career.
Sorry,
taking 2 away.
But that chip, you've kind of lived off that for a long time, haven't you?
Nah, I've never lived off that. I was actually on the bench, and it was Wimbledon away, and at the time, Gary McAllister was having some family issues, and he wasn't going to be at the game, so we got told that before the game, and then it was announced I was on the bench, and I was pretty raging because I thought I should have been in the team, and it was 0-0. I think I came on with about 30 minutes to go, and literally within about 3 touches, I'd latched onto a ball and spotted the keeper off his line and just give him a little dink. He was back pacing into the net. So yeah, no, it was a good one, to be fair. It was nice. But I was quite good at them. I used to produce them in training, the little dinks. Spot the keeper off the line. But yeah, I scored a brace against Preston away as well. Little brace kids.
Oh, nice. Well done.
2 tap-ins.
Talking of dinking goalkeepers, do you remember when we used to try and tease Kirky? Chris Kirkland, he was our youth team goalkeeper, weren't he? And,
yeah.
We used to do everything we could to chip him, and just to, whenever he caught the football, he'd leather it as far as he could down the field.
Oh, keepers, they're a classic though, because in shooting practice, you ever try and dink them when they caught it, that was it. The ball was getting boomed, and you had to go and get it. It was the same with everyone.
Oggy took it as a personal insult, didn't he, when we tried to chip him?
I don't even think I tried to dink Oggy, because I just thought if he catches that, he's gonna leather me, not the ball. So I just didn't try to.
So also, kids, when you were you played for England up until what was it, 19s or under 20s, something like that?
20s, yeah, under 20s. Because we went to Lilleshall, which was classed as like the England youth setup. When we I was always part of the youth setup then until like under 20s. So every year you go and play for England, which is an amazing experience. And you get your cap, stuff like that. You meet up, you train for a week, you do your camp, and then you play the game. So phenomenal experience, because again, you're playing with the best players around the country at your age. So when you go there,
is the Toulon tournament, does that still run? I think I've still seen England enter that.
It might do, yeah. I mean, I know it's been running for years and years and years. But yeah, that was it. I went to the Toulon tournament. I think we come 3rd in that Toulon tournament. I actually missed a penalty to make 3rd. Yeah. No, it was a great tournament. Playing against teams like Brazil and things like that, Italy. It was phenomenal. And it was a camp. I think we were out there for 2 weeks. And obviously all the teams are staying quite close to each other, and you're playing in stadiums. It was phenomenal. Great experience.
Any big players did you play against, or who were in the England team at that point?
There was Joe Cole was in the England team. Who else was in there? Barry, Lescott. So yeah, there was some big players in there. And then I think most of that team went on to have a successful career. Sorry, I've just got people coming in the room.
Pead, one of the I remember when do you remember that year when we all the Cov youth team boys, we went to Faliraki, and you and Gaz McSheffrey were playing in a tournament for England at the time, and you said, "Oh boys, I'm really sorry, I can't make it," and we sort of said, "No worries, good luck in the tournament and whatnot," and then tell us what happened next.
Well, it was me and Gaz were there, and we knew we were gutted. Well, we were buzzing because we were going to play for England, but we were gutted because we were like, we've been selected, but the lads are going on holiday. We're going to miss it. But the day yous were going was the day we were coming back. So it was like, can we make it? Can we not? So what were we at the time? I think we were like 19 years of age. Me and Gaz, I think, asking the FA, going, do you know when we fly back to England, do you mind if me and Gary get a different flight out to Faliraki? And they were kind of like, what? I think we made it so we got back to England and they'd booked us another flight out to Faliraki. Someone dropped us our cases off. So I think we turned up in our England tracksuits, didn't we?
You did, yeah. I remember the two. Well, I remember just hearing these suitcases come strolling up the drive at a hotel, and I thought, who's arriving at this time? And we look out and there's 2 England players walking up the drive to the hotel.
Mate, mental. It was funny. We were seeing you in the swimming pool and we were like, this is, because the coach just dropped us off in like an alley, and we had to walk up an alley, and then all of a sudden we seen you boys in the pool, and it was like, this is it. Quality.
Oh, it's good. So, going back to the football side, you've left Coventry. What kind of happened with you leaving Coventry? Why? Talk us through that a little bit.
I I was kind of plagued with injuries really, and then obviously new managers come in and they bring their own players in, they bring their own staff, and sometimes you can go straight out of favour with a manager, which is absolutely fine. You know, it happens. It's what the industry is, and so you train or you don't train with the first team. If they don't really like you, they might not train you with the first team. They might put you with the kids. So yeah, managers came in, you fall out of favour, and obviously your contract expires, and you get told that you're not going to be renewed. So you need to start looking for another club. But at the time, there's about 6 months or 8 months left on my contract, and we're in the changing room, and Steve Staunton at the time said to me, he was like, "What are you doing next season? They said anything to you?" And I was like, "Not really." I said, "But I'm not holding out for anything, to be honest, because I've not really played." And he went, "Oh, no worries." And then the next day, because he sat quite close to me in the changing room, he kind of went, "Oh, Peads, I've got the phone. Someone's on the phone for you." So I was thinking, who's this? And it was Paul Merson. And he was like, "Oh, I've spoken to Stan." And he was like, "Heard you're not sure what you're doing next season. I'd love for you to come and have a chat with me at Walsall." He says, "I think you'll enjoy it. We've got some good plans over the next year or so." He said, "I think you'd be a great addition to the squad." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll come over and have a chat." So I went over and had a chat with him. Got on with him really well straight away. Spoke to the chairman, liked the chairman. Just had a good vibe about the club. And for the remainder of that season, I went on loan. And we had a really good end to the season at Walsall. And then they just said, "Look, we want to offer you a contract." Offered me a contract. And because I enjoyed it so much, I went straight to Walsall at the end of that season. So that's kind of what happened at Coventry. But it was great. I had 2.5 years at Walsall. It was brilliant. Great club. I met some great friends. I was part of a championship winning team, which was brilliant, full of characters, full of good players. It was a great experience. Loved the club. Good fans, good setup.
I think you and Paul Merson got on like a house on fire, didn't you? I think he's seen something in you in terms of not just on the pitch, but also you seem to end up having a bit of a laugh together at times.
Yeah, I think he's mentioned it recently in the press about his time at Walsall, kind of saying that he was pretty much one of the lads instead of being the manager. I think at the time he'd transitioned from player to player manager, so he was still like a player, but he still had, he was still in with all the lads. He was just one of the lads, and yeah, I got on really, really well with him. And it's funny because we sat at home on a Thursday night, just eating some pasta with the missus, and my phone's going, and obviously it says Gaffer, and I'm thinking, "Oh, what's he want?" So I answer it up, and all I get is on the phone is, "Petey, you better be in the White Lion pub at 7:30, otherwise I'm going to fine you 2 weeks' wages." Put the phone down. So he puts the phone down. I'm like, I look at Gemma and I kind of look at the phone, and she's like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "It's the manager who wants to see me. Better go and see him." And obviously you turn up and he's got about 25 bottles of Beck's on the table. And he's just got you at his... But as I turned up, about 3 other players turned up as well. So he was just roping in some lads to go out on the piss with
him. Brilliant.
At
so
Walsall,
from Walsall, you've then gone to Brentford.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kieran, far away, mate. I jumped in on you there.
Yeah, well, at Walsall, was it where you finished in the team of the year?
Yes. So
and then they didn't renew your contract after that.
No, at Walsall we kind of, it was strange because it was my last year of my contract, and we went on and won the league, and we had a brilliant season. And I played total all competitions about 48 games, and they weren't offering new contracts because obviously we as players were just asking the manager when are we going to be discussing terms and things like that. And they said, "Look, we want to get the season finished, we want to make sure we win the league," which was understandable, and then we'll go and talk about contracts. But he was like, "I want to keep the club, I want to keep the team together because you've got a really good team spirit, we've had a great season, but you know, we want to keep everyone together. So he kind of was batting it off a little bit. And at the time, it was the manager was Richard Money, which me and Tom know from Coventry. And he's a really good coach, and he'd done a brilliant job that season at Walsall. It was great working with him. But he just kind of killed it a little bit at the end, because he kind of strung everyone on. And then it was about a week and a half after the season, he called everyone in. It was everyone had back-to-back meetings. I think I was about number 7 of the day. And obviously we're on a group chat with all the lads, and everyone's texting going, I didn't get a contract. I didn't get a contract. I didn't get a contract. And it was like, what? And like the captain didn't get a contract. And it was 10, I think it was 9 players out the starting 11 that season who wasn't offered another contract. They kind of just got us in, was like, we're not able to offer you any more. And I remember him kind of telling me, he sat down, the chairman and the secretary was there, and he was just like trying to do a little bit of small talk. How was your holiday? Blah, blah, blah. And then he just went, so we're not going to offer you a contract. I didn't need to hear anymore. I literally stood up and went, thanks very much for wasting my time and dragging it out for 2 weeks. I've now got to go and find a club. And I just walked out. I didn't want to have the small talk. I thought it was pretty poor of them not to tell us straight after the end of the season, but just to drag it out a little bit, which was a little bit poor. But you know what? They might have done it for a reason. There's no hard feelings or anything. It was just, I didn't need to hear that. I thought they could have told us a little bit sooner. But then my main focus was, then I need to get on the phone to someone to get me a club.
Yeah, definitely.
But everyone was in the same boat, and everyone was like, what are you going to do? And it was, everyone had their kind of agents at the time ringing round just to try and get a club. But everyone got a club because they were all good players.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then what happened from there?
So then I went to, I had a phone call from one England legend to another. So I was on a phone call to get me to Walsall by Paul Merson, and then the next phone call from Walsall was with Terry Butcher. And he was getting the manager's job at Brentford. So he rang me up and he kind of said, I've heard you're out of contract, would you come down and have a chat? So I went down and sat with him in his office, and just straight away, he was just a top bloke. At the time, he was quite open. He didn't really know about the league. He'd got the role, and he'd moved. I think he'd moved down from Scotland because he was managing up there. But yeah, signed for down there, Brentford for 2.5 years. But Terry was only there for, let's say, 10 months, because we had a bad start to the season, and then quite a bad losing streak, and then he got the sack, and then Andy Scott was the assistant, and he took on the role for the following season, and we ended up going and win the league the following season. So it was good. I enjoyed Brentford, but when I was at Brentford, it was kind of coming to the end because my knee was just playing havoc. I must have had 3 or 4 operations at Brentford on my knee, and I was only training twice a week.
Hey, Pete, talking of your knee operations and down in Brentford, do you remember you had a scan booked in for one of the mornings, and you said to me, let's go down to London, I'll get the scan done, we'll have a couple of beers, and then we'll come back and we'll get the train back. And I was like, yeah, sounds good, I'll come keep you company. And I said, what time's your appointment? And you take over from there, Speed.
Oh, well, yeah, it was your fault, to be honest. I said, come down to London. I've got this scan. We'll have a couple of beers in central London, and we'll. No, it wasn't a scan. It was to see the consultant to discuss my scan. So then I rang the physio on the train on the way down. And I was like, I think we were delayed, weren't we, on the train?
Yeah.
And I rang the physio and I was like, can you ring the consultant in Harley Street and tell him that I'm going to be a little bit late? So he rang up, and then Harley Street rang me, and she was like, Craig, just to let you know, and it was a consultant, it was a surgeon called Andy Williams, who was classed as probably the best knee surgeon in the world. And she rang me, and it was his PA, and she was just like, when Andy doesn't wait for anyone, if you're late, that's it. He doesn't see you. He's like, if you're not there on time, you're not getting an appointment. Wow. So I remember we rushed, didn't we? We got there, and I think I was about 8 minutes late. And I walked in, and she was just like, "He's not seeing you." And I was like, "Can you?" Because I got on well with Andy. I was like, "Can you just kind of like go and tell him I'm here, and can you squeeze me in?" And he ended up coming down the stairs, and he was like, "Craig, I'm really sorry." He's like, "I can't see you. This is the policy I have, and I've got these patients to see, and I'm really sorry." And I was just like, "Fair enough." So I missed that. So I was pretty pissed off. So we just went on the lash for about 2 days, didn't we?
I just remember you coming out of the scan and saying, he won't see me. He's not going to see me. So next thing you know, I think the mobile phone's battery died, and we had no intention of turning them back on. And we just kind of had a couple of days in London having a good time, didn't we?
That was it. I remember the weather was unbelievable as well. I remember getting up the next day feeling rough, and it was like, do we go home or do we just crack back on? And it was just cracking back on, and that was it. Good time.
So, Pete, one of the big stories that we've, that you're well known for, should I say, is you were best man at my wedding, weren't you? Or you should have been.
I should have been, yeah.
You should have been. So I'll set the scene a little bit, and then I'll let you take over. Myself and Danielle flew to Las Vegas. We had this big wedding all lined up. We'd been planning it for ages. We had all the suits and everything ready to go. Big day come, or should I say day before the big day. And then I'm going to hand over to you, Craig. Tell us what happened.
Well, I think I got there. What was the wedding day? I think I got there on the Wednesday or the Thursday. Was it the Sunday or the wedding
Sunday
day?
was the wedding day, yeah.
So I get there on the Thursday. I think everyone got there on the Wednesday. So, and you're in Vegas, and obviously it's just party central. And Thursday you had like a welcome party, so everyone was out drinking, had a really good time. And then on the Friday, there was, pool parties and stuff like that. Everyone was going there. Then it was another night out. And then Saturday, so I woke up Saturday, and obviously Gemma, my wife, she's saying to me, right, we're going to have a chilled day today. We've got a big day tomorrow. We'll go to the pool. We'll have a chilled day, and then we'll go for a nice meal tonight. And that'll be that. We wake up fresh. And I was like, yeah, I'm happy with that. So we go to the pool, and it's relatively kind of civilized. But then obviously a couple of shots come out, drink some beers, carry on. And it was good fun. And then we go and get showered. And then we come back, and Gemma's lined up a little couple's meal. But obviously we had a load of people out there for your wedding. So we're walking through the Wynn lobby, and there's all the lads in the bar. Like, they're all going out, and they're all shouting across me, "Peas, what are you doing? You're not coming out?" And I'm just like looking over going, "Not tonight, lads. I'm with the wife tonight." And they're all heckling abuse and texting me. But then I sat in the meal, and it was just like playing on my mind. I was thinking, Saturday night in Vegas. I can't go to bed after this. And so we finished the meal. Then we're walking towards the lifts, and I just dropped my shoulder down the back of a fruit machine, and got myself to the bar. And they were just leaving, all the lads. So I ended up going out, and not getting back till probably 6, 7 in the morning. And I felt great. In the morning, I had about an hour's sleep, and I thought, right, we need to get up, get dressed, sort my speech out, and be fine. And so got dressed, got showered, got the speech ready. We get downstairs where I met, obviously, Cuddy's brother, Gaz was another best man. We were getting a limo to the Bellagio Hotel. Still felt great, and gets in the limo. And obviously we're going down the strip. It's absolutely roasting in the limo. I remember I started to sweat, but like everyone was. And then all of a sudden I was like, I said to the lads, "Geez, my heart's beating a bit fast here." I was like, must be the heat. Next thing I know, I've passed out in the limo. And I woke up with Jack throwing water on me. And I'm on the floor of the limo. So I get up and I'm like, "What are you doing throwing water over me?" I didn't even realise I passed out. And they were like, "You all right?" And I think Tom at this point was now looking at me as if to say, "What is going on here?" I was like, yeah, I'm fine. So we get out of the limo, start walking into the reception area, and like Gaz is going, liven up, you all right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm sound. I'll get a drink of water. I'll be good. So then we're walking through, and we start to see where the wedding's going to be. And there's the door, and you start to see everyone that's congregated in there getting ready for the wedding. And it was busy. And obviously the grand entrance was going to be Danielle coming in. As I started walking to that door, like the door frame just started to like go left and right. And there was your wedding planner was there, and she was standing at the side of the door, and she looked at me and she was just like, you okay? And I was like, I pulled her to the side and went, no, I think I'm going to pass out again. And I went, if I walk in there, I was like, and I pass out, everyone's going to like rush over and it'll be a commotion. I don't want to take any like limelight off anyone. You know, it's your special day. So I kind of went to a side bit where a lift was, and that was it. I can't remember much after that, other than I was on a hospital bed. I was still in the hotel. Obviously, I had a mask on, and there was like paramedics around me. And I woke up and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on?" And they were like, "Oh, you're done for the day, sir. You're done for the day. We're taking you in." And I was like, "Oh my God, what about the wedding?" They were like, "Oh, the wedding's finished. We're gonna have to wheel you out to the ambulance." And I was like, "What? Through reception?" They were like, yeah. So I remember grabbing the cover and just pulling it over my head. I was like, no. And the guy grabbed it and he was like, "You can't do that, man. It looked like we're wheeling a dead body out." So he put it down, and I was kind of wrestling with him to try and get it over. And then he kept it down. And I remember I was just getting wheeled out, and obviously everyone's there from the wedding. And I'm just got this oxygen mask on, getting wheeled through reception. And all I can do is just do that. Can't talk. Just do that. So yeah, it was 4 days. And I remember when I got into the hospital, they were like, "So can I just ask you when the last time you had food?" And I was like, "Oh, I had a little bit on last night." They were like, "When was the last time you drank water?" I was like, "Oh, probably about 4 days ago." They're like, "Have you drank any fluids?" I was like, "Yeah, Bud Light, Jägermeister." And yeah, I was severely dehydrated, and yeah, it's not nice when you're severely dehydrated because you're in the sun all day as well. So yeah, I spent 24 hours in the hospital and missed the whole wedding, which I was devastated about because, you know, I didn't mean to do it. You could say I didn't mean to do it, but it was it's a hell of a story, but I was gutted.
It was an experience.
That mean Dad came up with a speech on the fly, did he, or?
No, I think we did it that morning.
Oh wow!
I think we both did it that morning. But I remember I had to tell one of the doctors the story in the hospital, and then he left, and then all of a sudden there was a knock on the door about an hour later, and there was like about 5 or 6 doctors came in, and he was like, "Oh, we're just gonna let you go now because we've seen your sodium levels and things like that. Everything seems okay." He says, "We've got some junior doctors here that are just kind of watching the consultation. Is that okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, no worries." And anyway, they finished and kind of like walked out, and I was getting the gown off, getting ready, and 2 of the junior doctors, there was a knock on the door, and 2 of the junior doctors walked back in. They were like, "Seriously, man? Did you miss that f***ing wedding because you were pissed?" And I was like, "No, I was dehydrated." They were like, "Can we have a selfie?" I was
wow.
But yeah, mental experience.
Crazy. Yeah, good story, that, Speed. But 2011, nearly 10 years to the day. Yeah, 10 years ago nearly. So back to Vegas next year, and make sure you behave yourself, yeah?
Yeah. Sure, it'll be nice meals next time. Nice meals, couple of shows.
I'll tell you what, though, I do remember you. Obviously, Danielle was kind of. I kind of, after a week or so, I found it quite funny, and obviously the story's really good. But Danielle was in absolute pieces, and she was fuming at you for ages until you turned up. And do you remember what you brought her as a gift?
Yeah. I'm sure. Pair of Louboutins went down a storm, didn't it?
Yeah, so she was over the moon after that, mate. She completely forgot about you being there altogether. She had just had a brand new pair of shoes.
No, not even bothered.
No.
Typical Danielle, that is.
So Pete, obviously moving on through your career, Brentford and whatnot, and then obviously with what you're doing now, you're doing personal training. Talk us through sort of the next chapter.
Yeah, so obviously finishing through injury quite well, a lot sooner than I'd like to have finished. I always knew it was going to come to an end, but I think, being injured and being in late 20s, early 30s and having to retire, it was not having no past experience. You've only ever done football from, all your life, from the age of like 10 onwards. You've got no experience, no qualifications, so it was pretty daunting. But I knew I just needed to keep busy, and obviously I was into the health and fitness stuff when I was playing. I like the gym side of it, so I just thought, do you know what, let's get qualified as a personal trainer, because I'm already interested in it. I've worked with a lot of kind of sports scientists and trainers through my footballing career. Always found it interesting, so I took that qualification and started training people. So it was quite a nice transition because I was always interested in it. And I found that I was quite passionate about helping people with their health and fitness goals and wellness and things like that. So it was a good transition. But I'd say I kind of explored over the last 8 years, and you kind of bounce around thinking, what's your purpose? What's your goal? What do I do? Because when you're a footballer, it's almost like being in the military. You've got a purpose. Like, your purpose every single week is to turn up, to train hard, to be an athlete. You've got a game that you're preparing for or 2 games every week. You've got a routine. You've got things where you need to be. Everything's put on for you. So you've got a purpose and you're striving for something, and then it suddenly just changes. So it's only natural for athletes to go into things like depression, anxiety, that lose a lot of money and things like that, because it's a tough period of life, because the football, or whatever career you're in, the football career is very short, and it flashes before your eyes, and then some people take it well and their transition's good, and then some people it's really difficult. And I'd say mine was it was difficult, but it wasn't. I didn't spiral into depression or anything like that, so I was quite lucky, because I think I just thought if I didn't keep myself busy, I would. And I think into it too much and have too much time on my hands. So I just kept myself busy with courses and trying to work and train people. So it was a little bit easier for me. But that's one of the things I'm quite interested in as well, helping people through that period. So I've spoken to quite a lot of people that are in the game and about transitioning, and also I'm just about to launch something where we're representing players, and a big part of that is while they're playing, and it's going to be getting them ready for the transition afterwards. Obviously, first and foremost, it's going to be the footballing and looking after the individual to a high level, but it's getting them ready to transition afterwards as well, because it's a very small kind of factor of your life, part of your life, and there's a lot of life to live after. And if you're not kind of sure what you're doing or where you're going, it's a difficult part. So that'll be a big part in what I'm going to be doing going forward as well. But yeah, the personal training's been brilliant. I've got a real passion for helping people and trying to get them onto the path of wellness. And, it's amazing how people's mindset changes when they come and see me first. And it's the barriers is probably mentally, they don't think they can do it. They don't think they can change and things like that. And then I think 6 months later, they've made the change and they're totally in a different mindset, and it's amazing to see. So that's why I was really passionate about that and into it.
I think, you've always been one of the most positive people I know, and you're one of them people who's a massive motivator. I think anybody who knows you or has come across you would describe you as one of them people who's get up and go and do it, go and chase your dreams, whatever you want to do. And I know you've got a massive passion for the health and fitness and whatnot. Do you think, if you look back on your career, what advice would you give yourself if you could kind of look back and say, right, this is this key piece of advice that might help another young player in that position who might be struggling with injuries, maybe, or something like that?
Well, injuries are part and parcel of the game. So when you're a football player, you'd be very surprised to go through a whole career without sustaining an injury. But I think if I was to look back and give myself or anyone now some advice, it would be kind of be present. And it's weird, and people might not know what that means. When you're actually in the moment, it's you take things for granted. You're in a privileged position. You're doing something very privileged, and you've worked hard for it. But being kind of present and understanding that this is for the next few years. You can do everything in your power to gain 1 or 2%. To improve yourself, fitness-wise, nutrition-wise, and so that would be one. Be very present and be very grateful at what the opportunity is. And then the other one would be, believe in yourself and be confident, because playing football is an emotional roller coaster as well. So the mind challenges you come up against is, not being picked, losing, winning, injuries, as well as anything outside of the game that you might be struggling with, like family issues, relationship issues. So it's a big roller coaster, and I just, you've got to be, very confident, and just you've got to get your head down and work hard, and ask for help as well. I think there's a lot of players that probably don't ask for help with whatever it is. It could be fitness, could be nutrition, or it could be mental, could be family issues. I think just reach out, ask for help, talk to people, get a mentor. So I think a mentor is an older pro that can take you under his wing and feed you advice. I'll never forget, we were in the gym at Coventry, and Gary Breen said to me, he says, "How old are you?" Because I was injured. And he said, I said, "I'm 19. And he went, "God, mate." He says, "I remember when I was 19, I think Gary Breen was like 29 at the time. And he was like, "Take it in, mate." He says, "Because you blink your eyes and you'll be 30. And I always remember that. And that's exactly what it's like. So it's like, be present and just try and do all you can to gain like 1 or 2% and try and better yourself daily. Because there is, I think nowadays, when I was playing 10 years ago, there was a bit more of a drinking culture and kind of characters and things like that. So there was a little bit more temptation to do stuff that you shouldn't be doing. Whereas now I think it's changed quite a bit. And I think you see the speed of the game now, and the athletes, you can't afford to be, drinking. You leave that stuff now into the off season because it's so fast, and these are athletes and highly trained, kind of skilled individuals. You just can't afford to do it. So, yeah, if you get your head down, work hard, and obviously believe in yourself, ask for help, and try and just be present and really, really kind of take it all in, which is hard to do because, you don't just have to be a football player to not be present. It's crazy how you kind of look back and think, I didn't really take that in. And that's how it felt a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my advice.
So you're in the shape of your life at the minute, though, mate. And you're probably fitter now than you were when you were playing.
I'm fitter gym-wise. When I was playing, I was unbelievably good at running. I could run all day. I used to run the bleep test till it finished. I couldn't do that now. So now I just concentrate on lifting weights in the gym.
So you've absolutely smashed it for charity over the last month or so. During this sort of lockdown period, you've worked with some brilliant people. Just talk us through how that came about and what you've done in terms of supporting the charity. Is that the kids?
Charlie coming in. He's saying, are you doing live exercise?
It's a good segue into what we're about to talk about.
What did you say? Because repeat that question, because I was like looking at them.
No, so it was just you've done a lot of work for charity recently. Just talk us through that, and you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I mean, going into, obviously coronavirus, going into lockdown was always a challenge for everyone. And for me, business-wise as well, the bulk part of my business was face-to-face personal training, and it was contact. And so, yeah, it kind of threw my business, on its head like it did, the majority of the country. And I remember the first week, and I was sitting there thinking, yeah, we can do some live calls and stuff like that. And, you need to start earning. But I just felt that a good friend of mine had kind of started a charity and raising money for the NHS frontline staff and trying to get it to the frontline staff as quick as possible to where they need it, like the PPE and helping out with childcare with the nurses and things like that, and also counsellors for the nurses that were struggling with the workload and things like that and the things they were seeing. And I just felt that I could, with the contacts and help from friends, I could probably do some live workouts. One, kind of push charity, but then two, give people some value in this time of it's a bit unknown, it's a bit scary. And I just thought, people could jump on and do a free workout. And if it gets people slightly fitter and raises money for charity, then it's a win-win. So yeah, put some guests together, partnered up with a charity, and 4 or 5 weeks on the bounce every single day doing HIIT workouts. My knees in absolute tatters. But it's been amazing. I've had some amazing messages saying, thank you very much. I've never worked out before. I started with doing 5 minutes of your HIIT session, and now I'm doing a full 30. And then people sending me clips, screenshots of their donations, and it's just been brilliant. Been really good.
I think what you bring to that personal training is the personal touch with it, though, where you're very positive, you're keen to work with absolutely anybody. Lots of people come with different goals and looking to achieve different things, and I think you can find a way to help most people, to be honest. It must be rewarding doing that sort of thing.
It is. It's always good to get someone in front of you. People that are thinking about kind of making a change, the process usually starts, they've been thinking about it for some time. It could be years, it could be 6 months, but they don't actually action it. And then someone will reach out and ask for help. And then I always try and, it's hard in these times, but you always try and get a sit down and a coffee and really kind of have a good chat on, the reasons why they want to do it and what it looks like, and put a plan together for them. And it's good because a lot of people think they've got to be a certain level of fitness to start, and you don't. The worst thing you can do is kind of keep putting it off, because your motivation never stays with you. It comes and goes. Like one day you wake up, you're motivated. The next day you feel like, the world's going to end. So it comes and goes. So it's important that you just act. And then what you find is you just keep kind of grinding it out, and you don't have to be fit. I'll get you fit. That's my job. And I'll kind of put the map together and we'll take you through it. But it's amazing to see people, they come and they negative is probably the wrong word. They just don't believe in themselves enough to think they can kind of get to where they want to be physically and mentally. And then to see them 3 to 6 months down the line, and they send you a message saying, I never thought I could feel like this. I never thought I could look like this, and it's all down to them, really. I just give you the roadmap and guide you and support you, and that's it. So that's why I enjoy it so much, because you're taking people from, it's not just physically you help them. I think most of all you help them out mentally with, liking themselves a little bit better, believing in themselves. You feel better within yourself. So the physical aspect of it is good, but for me, what they get out of it mentally is probably the best.
Yeah. No, I think that commitment to that lifestyle is huge, isn't it? People will often look in the mirror and say, I want to look great, but getting to that point is a difficult process and has a lot of ups and downs. It's consistency, I suppose.
Oh, it is. It's hard work. You've got to get up and you've got to train. You've got to work hard, and you've got to not always eat the food you want to eat. And you've got to, you can't always drink the beers you want to drink and stuff like that. It's hard. But the thing is, depending on what goal you've got, I never let's just say someone just wants general weight loss and wants to feel better about themselves, they think it's got to be a diet or that it's a period of time. So what I do is try and get that mentality out, and it's kind of like, this is not, let's just say it's not a period of time. Let's just say we're just going to make some changes and you're going to sustain it. Like, so we're not going to cut out, you know, all your favorite foods and all your favorite snacks and all your favorite drinks. We're just going to kind of cut it down slightly, or, you know, we're going to cut your calories down, and you may be able to have a chocolate bar every night still. You know, small changes. And it's amazing what you can do with your diet and still enjoy and live a happy life. Because the worst thing is, mentally, if you go on a diet and you can't eat chocolate, you can't eat bread, you can't eat the foods you want to eat, you're never going to last, because your mind is just going to be torturing you inside. So you're never going to sustain it. And then it becomes a fad. And then you lose a little bit of weight and you put it back on. And then you're in this constant battle. So that's another thing, helping them understand that it doesn't have to be mentally draining because you always want to eat the foods you want to eat. We're not actually going to rip everything out. We're just going to sustain things. And it's more of a lifestyle change than just like a health kick.
Definitely. So you're obviously very passionate about it, mate. And I know you could talk to us in great detail about fitness and lifestyle and whatnot. But going back to the football, Premier League kicking off next month, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, God, it'd be nice to get some football back, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've seen the actual the schedule. There's like 3 games. There's like 3 games a day. Then it gets to Sunday. Saturday, Sunday is like 5 games a day. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to see the family. I'm just going to be locked up watching football. But no, it'll be good. It'll be good to get it back on. Get the sport moving again.
And I think most importantly, if we get that news that we're all hoping for, that Coventry get promoted to the Championship, what do you think? How will that make you feel?
Oh, it'd be amazing. I think when you think about Coventry as a club, you think like Championship minimum. You know, we're used to being part of Coventry when it was Premiership, Championship. And obviously, we've been relegated a couple of times and gone down the leagues, and now we're on the way back up. And the club's doing a great job at the minute. And to be back in the Championship is just the first step to kind of like, you know, being where they should be as a club. And it's just exciting. It's really exciting for the city, for the fans, for the club. So, you know, if we do get that, whether it's automatic or they play playoffs or whatever they do or finish the season, I think it's still a little bit unclear. We've just got to get there. And I think we're in the good thing is kind of having the break and then coming back. If you have to play the games, you know, the drive is we're in the driving seat. We're 5 points clear. We've got games in hand, and the trophy is the Championship. So that's the driving force for them. It's always difficult because they're going to gain form and games are going to be behind closed doors. So, you know, it's difficult. It's a testing time, but they should do it because that should be the driver in that pole position.
You're obviously a member of the Former Players Association and whatnot, and I've been with you recently when you've done a bit of after-dinner speaking there and pre-match chats and things like that. But yeah, hopefully we get back to the Rico and go back home and do some more work in and amongst more of a home environment, I suppose.
Yeah, it'll be obviously going over to Birmingham. It's been different. Don't get me wrong, I've quite enjoyed it because I quite like at the start of the season. The pitch is absolute carpet, phenomenal surface, and I think it's helped the team play on such a good pitch. I know the Rico's is great, but the pitch is not always great.
Because of the rugby going on there as well.
That's it, yeah. So, but it'd be nice to be back in the city. And if you go to the Championship and then you go into home games in the city of Coventry, you know, you'll get.
I suppose the only thing that we miss out on is the be at one afternoons straight after the game. Then.
What's that, mate? I don't know what you're on
about. you know that when we leave the match and we're supposed to get the train home and we end up having a couple of beers and then trying to figure out how we're going to get ourselves home at the end of the day.
That walk back to the station There's so much temptation, isn't there? There's like 25 bars on the way. You better off just get a taxi straight home.
I think that will be a bit of a downside to coming back to the Rico, but no, it's certainly been a good season. They've done fantastic.
Yeah, no, it'll be good. I'm looking forward. It'll be great to be going to Championship games next season.
Yeah, some big clubs again.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Pete, absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for taking time out to chat to us, and congratulations on all that work that you've done for charity and whatnot, because it's been absolutely amazing to sit and watch. And I know you've helped so many people along the way, and you and everybody else that are involved in that NHS work has done a fantastic job. So massive thanks to you.
No, thanks. It's been good. I've enjoyed it. You know, I haven't seen it. It's not taking up my time. I've just enjoyed it. You might have to edit some of the fitness stuff. I'm sure I've bored a few there with the fitness stuff.
Don't worry, we're keeping it in.
No, it's wicked, mate. It was really good, really good. Right then, Craig, just finally, before we go, we're coming to an end of this lockdown period now. People are allowed to go and mix a little bit more. What does that look like in terms of you and the personal training?
So I'm going to be obviously going back to training people as well. So I'll be taking on some new clients and getting back to training existing clients, and then setting up this agency that will launch in August or September. We've assembled a good team there and looking to go out there and represent some young footballers and assisting them on their journey. But yeah, it'll be a mixture of the personal training and representation, which is both I'm really passionate about, and I'm looking forward to getting my teeth into it again. So I imagine I'll be quite busy. So yeah, taking on some clients and getting some clients to represent in the football kind of representation world as well.
I know you've already doing you've already been doing a little bit of live training sessions, football training sessions with some of the academy boys at Coventry City, haven't you?
Yeah, we did. I think it was in the 10s the other night. We did some fitness, we did some ball drills, things like that. It's been good. The Zoom calls, you know, they're quite good when you can't get a group session together. I think we had 12 players in their back gardens the other night from the academy doing a little bit of fitness and doing some ball drills, which they loved. So it was, and then we had a little chat afterwards, just talking about football and things like that. So yeah, it's been great.
There's a huge crossover there, isn't there, in terms of the fitness and the football. So, I mean, really, you can roll it all up into one nice, tidy package and offer a little bit for everybody. Aspiring young footballers who perhaps need to look at diet, nutrition, and gaining that extra %, which is massive in the game now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're young, you know, I speak to some parents at work on a one-to-one basis with some of the kids, some of the Cov kids at the academy, and just you've got to keep it quite basic with the kids. I mean, I don't always go straight to the parent and talk about nutrition. It's important that they know a little bit about nutrition, but I always go to the child I have the relationship with, and just kind of go over what they think are good foods, what are bad foods, you know, what they should have in their diet, what they shouldn't, you know, and don't forget their kids. So I'm never cutting anything out. I just want them to subconsciously know what's right, what's wrong. So, you know, as they get older, they've had a little bit of education on what fuels them as an athlete, or if they're going into a game, what the types of foods they want to be eating before to fuel their body. So I always make sure we cover things like that, because I think it's important, because, you know, kids sometimes, you know, you feed your kids, you're probably the same. There's a lot of beans, there's a lot of fries, there's a lot of fish fingers. And as they get older, I think they just need to understand a little bit and have a little bit of knowledge without it being too boring.
Yeah.
So they understand just little bits about food as they progress.
Brilliant. And obviously you're working with us at SoccerRockz and doing a little bit of work with them young players that might not necessarily be academy footballers, but just have a massive love of football. Yeah,
it's brilliant. It's brilliant. I love doing the sessions. You do one on a Tuesday, a Friday and a Saturday morning. And, you know, it's different. You know, you get different children from different backgrounds, and it's just great to see them out there enjoying the football. The one on a Tuesday, I think I've had the same 14 kids now every single week, come rain, snow, whatever. It's been fantastic. And then, like for instance, we do this Saturday morning, I take the older ones at goals, and they're another, different kind of challenge, but just there to enjoy their football. So it's brilliant. It's brilliant. And it's good to coach different levels because it tests yourself as well. And you've got to adapt, because some groups are really, really easy to manage, and then some groups are a little bit more challenging. So it challenges you as well and kind of helps you become a better coach. But no, I really enjoy it. It's brilliant.
I think one of the big things that I've seen when you joined us at Goals and worked with that older group, I remember coming to watch you deliver a coaching session, and you were working on transition and moving the ball from one side of the pitch to the other. And some of these boys were that focused on the training session that I think they'd lost track of time. They weren't asking, "Oh, can we have a game?" It was almost they were enjoying learning. And what you brought to that was absolutely fantastic. It was almost they'd never seen it before. It was a coaching specifics and football information that they were just absorbing.
Yeah, no, that particular group, they're a group that if you slow things down and it's not active, you're not engaging them all the time, you're not moving on to different things, and they will kind of like muck around and things like that. So it's you've got to be sharp sessions and then quick drink, back in, we're on to the next. You've got to engage them all the time because their heads go. Don't get me wrong, they want to have kind of fun and banter with each other, but they can just, if you let them, they'll just banter each other and muck around all day. Yeah. So you have to just keep moving them on. But yeah, they're good to work with. They're a good set, and you've just got to keep it flowing with them and just give them a kick up the arse every now and again.
Good stuff, mate. Brilliant. Right then, I think we'll wrap it up there.